So let's go over like 4 layers of a silent house. Let's peel them back and actually see what's probably going on inside you on a day like this. Because, well, at least if you can name it, you can kind of begin to steer your emotions with this. Well, the first one is grief. You're grieving that your family story didn't turn out the way that you thought it was. Oh, this is me. This is me. All my life, I had these grandiose notions about what my family was going to be. And you can see my video. Again, there's a video that I did of You're Divorced and I'm Sorry. And in that one, I go through some of that grief story that you were envisioning. Again, especially for the religious guys, they struggle a lot with this, that if I do, then God will do, which is actually a kind of a covert contract on God, because really it's saying, I thought that if I do, she's going to do. And you learn the hard way that, well, your wife is a free will being and she does what she wants to do. That's between her and God. And you realize that, well, now my family isn't together and I'm not even a part of that. How do I handle that? What do I do about that now? And you end up getting disappointed. Then you thought traditions that were created that will last for decades, because you remember going over maybe grandma's house as a kid. You probably celebrate the holidays and birthdays the same exact way your parents did for you, or maybe whatever you and your wife talked about, or whatever you all did. That was part of that family tradition. And now all of that is completely turned around. How do you form new traditions when you're by yourself? And the version of you that was a husband and a father under one roof is no more. You see, there's something good that comes in a man when he does feel like he's the patriarch in the family. I know I used to find delight, even though I wasn't much of a Christmas celebrator or birthday guy. Well, actually, take that back. I was a huge birthday guy. But the money part was like, well, got to come up with some money for these gifts and everything. And I wasn't a huge Christmas celebrator, but, we still got gifts and everything else for the kids. So all of that was good. But it was hard, because in that case, it was like, wow, I thought that we would be doing this for a while and I would always be looking at the kids, enjoying them opening some gifts. I found delight in that. Now it's not that way anymore. Now my kids get birthday gifts and they get them sent by Amazon or whoever else's local delivery. Very few are opening up gifts right in front of me like they used to do every year under that Christmas tree. So it goes to show that sometimes, men, we feel grief, and it's not just around a funeral. Divorce is definitely a kind of death. It's the death of a chapter. It's the death of a dream. It's the death of a version of you. It's okay to say, I miss what I had, and I miss the man that I was in that season of my life. Now, that doesn't mean that you want your ex back. I hope that doesn't mean that. It just means that you're acknowledging the loss. See, you can still want to be that man that enjoyed that family. I enjoyed that fatherly, patriarchal feeling every year of leading my family. But that doesn't mean I want the marriage back, the ex back, that other part of, we'll just call it my romantic life. Many people get the two confused. Don't get them twisted. At least for me, that's not that way. Number 2, here's the other big one. The shame. Shame says, well, you know what? This happened because you didn't do enough, or you're not enough. You should have done more. Even if you went out and worked 9 to 5, and you might have worked at the blue collar job and at the plant, or you might have been in the military, you might have been doing business travel, you still should have came home and did more of the dishes. You still should have came home and did more of the laundry. You still should have came home and did the bathroom. You should have, and you're starting to think like, now I'm sitting here by myself. Maybe if I would have. Again, that story that starts going through your head. If I made more money, maybe she wouldn't have left. This is for you guys that, your wife might have bounced because you didn't make enough money to hold on to her. She wanted you to make more. Now she's looking at getting some great Christmas gifts off of the spousal support that you pay or the child support that you pay. When y'all were together, you might not have been like, I don't think we should buy that. Well, now you don't really have a choice. She's going to buy it with that money. And you probably think, well, maybe if I would have made more, she would have stayed with me. Maybe you're thinking, if I was a better man, I'd be with my kids right now. I'm going to tell you, there might be some truth in that. But that doesn't mean you should be shamed. Just acknowledge that maybe there was some truth in that. So now what story, what version of you are you going to be building in this next year? Because every day I think we should get up wanting to be a better man than I was the day before. My motto, like Lemuel Haynes, is every day I desire to get up and go to bed knowing more than when I started the day. If it has to be that way with knowledge, how much more should it be that way with wisdom, which is more superior than knowledge? Some of you did make some serious mistakes. Some of you might have cheated on your spouse. Maybe you checked out in the marriage and you closed down and didn't communicate with your wife. Maybe you ignored all the signs that your wife was trying to tell you, that the kids may have even been trying to tell you. So now own that part of you, because that's healthy. Do that, but don't turn it into a life sentence. It's so funny that so many times we actually will judge ourselves more harshly than even the law would. Obviously, we can all think of some pretty heinous things that you will suffer in your own mind of shame and guilt for decades, when maybe the law might only sentence you to 5 years. Some of you are still suffering from maybe a past divorce that you got. Some of you are still suffering for something that a woman said to you when you were 25 years old. Some of you are suffering from the fatherly mistakes that you made when you had maybe a child out of wedlock. Or maybe when you did make some mistakes when you were 30 and now here you are 50, still judging yourself. A 20-year plus sentence with no possibility for parole is what you've condemned yourself with. And you still let her condemn you that way, and maybe even the kids. Let me tell you, it's time for you to break that. Shame is going to tell you that because you failed as a husband, you are disqualified as a father. The problem is, truth be told, your ex-wife, or maybe your current wife, or maybe the mother that is the mother of your children, she's saying the same thing. Because you failed in this relationship, or because our relationship failed, and I'm blaming you, because again, that just always seems to happen, you narcissist. Because I'm blaming you, you're disqualified to be a father. A mature woman and a mature man. But I think I've found many men being able to admit this far more than what I found women being able to admit. A mature woman can look at you and say, you know what? That man might not have been the best in our relationship, or our relationship wasn't the best, but he was a darn good father. Now, I'm not saying I've never heard women say this, but a vast majority of the time, the two go hand in hand. The relationship doesn't work, he gets blamed, or maybe it is his fault, maybe some things are her fault. And then now it is now put on him, oh, well, you're a bad father because of that as well. And that's not true. That's a lie. Number 3, we got the anger. Because then you get to anger, you're mad at the court. You're mad at the lawyers because, you know, they might have told you to take a deal that you feel now you're getting screwed with. Maybe you agreed to a visitation schedule during the holiday season that you feel now screwed by. Maybe you're mad at your ex because of some games she might be playing this holiday season. And then maybe it is, you might be mad at the kids because they don't even seem to understand and don't even seem to care because they're only looking at you through mama's lenses. For a man, this is totally different than from a woman because, you know, I don't believe that we are the same. For a man, the anger is easier to feel than the grief. Anger gives you some energy. Anger makes us be like, I'm about to get up. Anger is what makes us go into combat. Anger is motivating for a man, but grief feels like quicksand. Grief feels like I'm stuck. I don't know what I need to do. I don't know how did I get in this and how do I get out of this? I've been stuck in some quicksand before. I can tell you, I might put pictures of this up. I know that helpless feeling. And then I still went through the things I'm talking about. I couldn't believe that I was in this situation. I couldn't believe that I kept walking, the ground got soft, and I stepped in and was like, whoop. And then I was mad. I got to get out. Then I'm going through that. Dale, how did you get into this in the first place? So a lot of men live in the anger because it actually feels stronger. It feels more familiar to them. But the anger with nowhere to go, it really is just going to turn into bitterness in your life. You're going to be bitter against everybody else and you're going to be bitter against yourself. And the bitterness will have you doing things that will actually hurt your future and not help you. This is what I talked about in my video. Men are stupid and lazy when it comes to divorce. You know why? Because of bitterness. They mad at her, but forget it. Just give her everything. I don't care. that bitterness now causes you to make some mistakes that you'll likely regret later. Maybe that bitterness now causes you to say, I don't care. Kids, go to where you want to on the holidays. I don't care. I don't need to see you on Christmas. You may be raging at those kids in a lot of ways because of that bitterness that has gotten in you. But a lot of that bitterness is just covering up number 4, and that's fear. Because underneath it all is fear.